Okay, it says it's live again. Let me just make a little note. If it cuts out again, just come over to Facebook. I gotta put my Facebook link in. Hold on. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. Aliyah, shalom, shalom. Yes, I'm glad to be back. Oh, let me get y'all the Facebook link, y'all. If it cut out again, just come on over to Facebook. Um, let's see. I'm sorry. I hope it don't, but if it does, let me just give y'all the link now. I can just click on it. Okay. Okay. Okay, y'all. Here is the link. If it cuts out again. Back. Demi shalom. Okay. Y'all, if it cut out again, I'm just gonna get my hardback Bible and I'll just read from there. All right. Hopefully it won't cut out. But if it does again, I'm gonna have to upload the the Facebook video today. Okay, so let me go back to my spot in Malachi. Okay. All right, y'all. No, they're not messing with me. Aliyah, I think it's my laptop. I noticed it yesterday when Josh was trying to he had a whole bunch of stuff open. He was trying to download something. And I'm not sure that it's a virus up here, but it kept cutting off on him yesterday. So I'm gonna run it. I didn't run a check yesterday on it. I'll do that today. So it's actually my computer today. I know because right before it went out, I mentioned just in case it go out, that was why. I'm not sure. Something's going on with it. Okay. Let me just start over. Malachi chapter 1. This is the message that Yahuwah gave to Israel through the prophet Malachi, Yahuwah's love for Israel. I have always loved you, says Yahuwah. But you retort, really, how have you loved us? And Yahuwah replied, this is how I showed my love for you. I loved your ancestor Jacob, but I rejected his brother Esau and devastated his hill country. I turned Esau's inheritance into a desert for jackals. Esau's descendants in Edom may say, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. But Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, replies, they may try to rebuild, but I will demolish them again. Their country will be known as the land of wickedness, and their people will be called the people with whom Yahuwah is forever angry. When you see the destruction for yourselves, you will say, truly, Yahuwah's greatness reaches far beyond Israel's borders. Unworthy sacrifices. Yahuwah, the God of heaven's army, says to the priest, a son honors his father, and a servant respects his master. If I am your father and master, where are the honor and respect I deserve? You have shown contempt for my name. But you ask, how have we ever shown contempt for your name? You have shown contempt by offering defiled sacrifices on my altar. Then you ask, how have we defiled the sacrifices? You defile them by saying that the altar of Yahuwah deserves no respect. When you give blind animals as sacrifices, isn't that wrong? Isn't it wrong to offer animals that are crippled and diseased? Try giving gifts like that to your governor and see how pleased he is. This is Yahuwah. Says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. Go ahead, beg God to be merciful to you. But when you bring that kind of offering, why should he show you any favor at all? Asked Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. How I wish one of you would shut the temple doors so that these worthless sacrifices could not be offered. I am not pleased with you, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, and I will not accept your offerings. But my name is honored by people of other nations from morning till night. All around the world they offer sweet incense and pure offerings in the honor of my name. For my name is great among the nations, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. But you dishonor my name with your actions. By bringing contemptible food, you are saying it is all right to defile Yahuwah's table. You say it's too hard to serve Yahuwah, and you turn up your noses at my commands, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. Think of it. Animals that are stolen and crippled and sick are being presented as offerings. Should I accept from you such offerings as these? Asked Yahuwah. Cursed is the cheat who promises to give a fine ram from his flock, but then sacrifices a defective one to Yahuwah. For I am a great king, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, and my name is feared among the nations. Next chapter, Malachi chapter 2. Nikki, shalom, shalom. A warning to the priests. Listen, you priests, this command is for you. Listen to me and make up your minds to honor my name, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, or I will bring a terrible curse against you. I will curse even the blessings you receive. Indeed, I have already cursed them because you have not taken my warning to heart. I will punish your descendants and splatter your faces with the manure from your festival sacrifices, and I will throw you on the manure pile. Sheesh. Then at last you will know that it was I who sent you this warning so that my covenant with the Levites can continue, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. The purpose of my covenant with the Levites was to bring life and peace, and that is what I gave them. This required reverence from them, and they greatly revered me and stood in awe of my name. They passed on to the people the truth of the instructions they received from me. They did not lie or cheat. They walked with me, living good and righteous lives, and they turned many from lives of sin. The words of a priest The words of a priest's lips should preserve knowledge of Yahuwah, and people should go to him for instruction. For the priest is the messenger of Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. But you priests have left Yahuwah's paths. Your instructions have caused many to stumble into sin. You have corrupted the covenant I made with the Levites, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. So I made you despised and humiliated in the eyes of all the people. For you have not obeyed me, but have shown favoritism in the way you carry out my instructions. A call to faithfulness. Are we not all children of the same Father? Are we not all created by the same God? Then why do we betray each other, violating the covenant of our ancestors? Thank you, Boo. Judah has been unfaithful, and a detestable thing has been done in Israel and in Jerusalem. The men of Judah have defiled Yahuwah's beloved sanctuary by marrying women who worship idols. May Yahuwah cut off from the nation of Israel every last man who has done this and yet brings an offering to Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. Here's another thing you do. You cover Yahuwah's altar with tears, weeping and groaning because he pays no attention to your offerings and doesn't accept them with pleasure. You cry out, why doesn't Yahuwah accept my worship? I'll tell you why. Because Yahuwah has witnessed the... Shush.
Get some milk, get some of this.
Tootie, wait, chill. We can talk about that in a minute. Here's another thing you do. You cover Yahuwah's altar with tears, weeping and groaning because he pays no attention to your offerings and doesn't accept them with pleasure. You cry out, why doesn't Yahuwah accept my worship? I'll tell you why. Because Yahuwah witnessed the vows you and your wife made when you were young, but you have been unfaithful to her, though she remained your faithful partner, the wife of your marriage vows. Didn't Yahuwah make you one with your wife? In body and spirit, you are his. And what does he want? Godly children from your union. So guard your heart. Remain loyal to the wife of your youth, For I hate divorce, says Yahuwah, the God of Israel. To divorce your wife is to overwhelm her with cruelty, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. So guard your heart and do not be unfaithful to your wife. Now that's a whole series of sermons in the church today because they believe something different. They'll focus on a portion about divorce when divorce really wasn't the issue. The issue was the unfaithfulness of the husband to his wife. That's what that for some reason when you read it, they read it in a way where it seems like divorce is the issue. And it wouldn't be the issue because if you remained pure and you kept Yahuwah's commands, you wouldn't have to worry about divorce. Divorce is simply a byproduct of some of the other crap you was doing, right? But I like to focus on the the things that really doesn't make neither here nor there. Yes, Yahuwah says he hates it, but it's not divorce in itself that he hates. It's what you were doing that led up to the divorce, right? It's going to kill everything. Your wife and your children. It's killing the faithful union that he wants to reproduce more children, more people who would be faithful to him. Remember everything that he talks about Israel when he talks about the adultery and the idolatry. He uses the physical idolatry and adultery that we experience here as humans to give us a direct example of how that looks when we commit adultery against him and we're unfaithful to him. So that's why he's always harping on that. He wants to teach you how not to go down that path of divorce. Yes, he hates it, but that's really not the issue. The issue is the faithfulness and remaining single-hearted and faithful and ikhad with Yah and Yah alone, right? And with your husband or your wife and your husband and wife alone. That'll totally kill all the polygamy and polygyny arguments and all this stuff. Or what about y'all worried about the wrong thing? That's what about. Who cares that King David did it? Who cares that King Solomon did it? What happened to their houses when they disobeyed that command? The command, it was a command that it was somebody a few weeks ago, they said, well, you ain't gonna find that nowhere in the Torah where Yahuwah commanded men to only have one wife. I'm like, clearly, brother, you're not familiar with the Torah, are you? Because I will point it out exactly where it says it, almost word for word.
Help me.
Almost word for word, where he always addresses the head, right? And the head was the king. So he told the king that you are not to multiply wives into yourselves, not just wives, but some other things he was talking about, but he specifically called out wives, right? Why? Because the people do what the king do. And if the king is doing it, it must be okay for the people to be doing it, right? They know that they took they took orders from the king. The men looked up to the king, right? The priests, everybody. What they were doing is what trickled down to the people, right? As the head goes, so goes the body. If the head is sick, the entire body will be sick as well, right? Same principles, So when you read through this, make sure you're reading it all in context, right? I'm gonna read it again because that was almost about the end of the chapter. Okay. Verse 13, Malachi chapter 2. All right, Pooh, hold on. Verse 13. Here's another thing you do. You cover, and when you read it, read the whole chapter because the whole chapter is literally talking about that same thing, the same exact thing. Jerry, shalom. Did I already say hi to Jerry? I think I did. I'm sorry, but it never hurts to say it twice. Here's another thing you do. You cover Yahuwah's altar with tears, weeping and groaning because he pays no attention to your offerings and doesn't accept them with pleasure. You cry out, why doesn't Yahuwah accept my worship? I'll tell you why. Because Yahuwah witnessed the vows you and your wife made when you were young, but you have been unfaithful to her, though she remained your faithful partner, the wife of your marriage vows. Didn't Yahuwah make you one with your wife? In body and spirit, you are his. And what does he want? Godly children from your union. So guard your heart. Remain loyal to the wife of your youth. For I hate divorce, says Yahuwah, the God of Israel. To divorce your wife is to overwhelm her with cruelty, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. So guard your heart. Do not be unfaithful to your wife. You have wearied Yahuwah with your words. How have we wearied him, you ask? You have wearied him by saying that all who do evil are good in Yahuwah's sight, and he is pleased with them. You have wearied him by asking, where is the God of justice? Next chapter, Malachi chapter 3. And this whole book of Malachi, if you ever really paid attention to it, it's almost like a summation of everything that Yahuwah has been saying to his people from the very beginning all the way up to Malachi. And it's a series of questions and answers. And it literally is it's a real short book. And like I said, it's a really quick, good summation of everything that has been going on. It's everything is here. I mean, it doesn't give you all the individual commands and all that stuff because all of that was explained before. But if you read all that stuff and you brought it along with you when you got here, you would clearly see that this is literally an overview of what he's been saying from the very beginning. Okay, the coming day of judgment. Look, I am sending my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me. Then Yahuwah, hold on. Then Yahuwah, whom you are seeking, will suddenly come to his temple. The messenger of the covenant, whom you look for so eagerly, is surely coming, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. But who will be able to endure it when he comes? Who will be able to stand and face him when he appears? For he will be like a blazing fire that refines metal, or like a strong soap that bleaches clothes. He will sit like a refiner of silver, burning away the dross. He will purify the Levites, refining them like gold and silver, so that they may once again offer acceptable sacrifices to Yahuwah. Then once more, Yahuwah will accept the offerings brought to him by the people of Judah and Jerusalem, as he did in the past. At that time, I will put you on trial. I am eager to witness against all the sorcerers and adulterers and liars. I will speak against those who cheat employees of their wages, who oppress widows and orphans, and who deprive the foreigners living among you of justice. To these people, do not, for these people do not fear me, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. A call to repentance. I am Yahuwah, and I do not change. This is why you descendants of Jacob are not already destroyed. Ever since the days of your ancestors, you have scorned my decrees and failed to obey them. Now return to me, and I will return to you, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. But you ask, how can we return when we have never gone away? Should people cheat Yah? Yet you have cheated me. But you ask, what do you mean? When did we ever cheat you? You have cheated me of tithes and offerings due to me. You are under a curse, for your whole nation has been cheating me. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so there will be enough food in my temple. If you do, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, I will open the windows of heaven for you. I will pour out a blessing so great you won't have enough room to take it in. Try it. Put me to the test. Your crops will be abundant, for I will guard them from disease. Your grapes will not fall from the vine before they are ripe, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. Then all the nations will call you blessed, for your land will be such a delight, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. So clearly, we also know that they take this. They also take this. This is one of the main ones that they take out of context as well to pad the pockets of the priests and the prophets and whatever section or faction of the what do you call it? The ministry gifts, pastor, prophet, teacher, preacher, evangelist, right? This is how they build wealth for their homes. But what Yahuwah was talking about here, if we remember everything, hard head shalom. If we remember everything, why was tithes? First of all, let's identify what the tithes are. Tithes is always food, right? And when Yahuwah addresses and he said, bring the tithes into the storehouse, what were the tithes for? They were for the Levites, because the poor, everybody else received an inheritance of land except for the Levites. Yahuwah said, I'm your portion, right? Which was great. It was probably the best portion. Like, I would rather have Yahuwah as my portion than to have a portion of land, right? And although the Levites had land within all the other tribes' land, that's how it was set out. Every other tribe, all the other 11 tribes, they got portions of land as it was divided out, right? All right, son, all this land is for you and your descendants. Y'all divided up amongst yourself. You know, Asher, Gad, Judah, all the different tribes, right? But because the Levites were the priests for all their brethren, right? For all the tribes, within each tribe, there was a section set apart for the Levites. So they did have land, but it was literally kind of on loan to them because they were the priests. They were kind of like the visiting parties in the land where they were at, right? You had to have priests within the whole family. So wherever the family was, you could find somebody who was anointed by Yah, i.e. the Levites, right? So although they had that portion of land, everything that they bought, when they bought their gifts and everything to Yah, he said, give it to the Levites, right? So that's why they were easily accessible in each other's land. So, okay, babe. Love you too. So everything that was given to Yah was given to the Levites, and then the Levites would take it and present it to Yah. And then Yah in return would give those gifts back to the Levites. So everything that was given it was given to Yah, but Yah, he said, I'm your portion. Because I'm your portion, everything that is given to me, I'm going to turn around and give it right back to you, right? Okay, so that's what the tithes was for, and it was food. They harvested their crops. Some of them they bought animals, and that's how the Levites lived. That was their food, right? They didn't really have to do much, um, a lot of work like everybody else in the other tribes were, because their job was to seek the face of Yah and pray for the people. Y'all get it, right? So because that was their full-time job, Yahuwah said, I'm going to take care of you. You're faithful to me, I'm going to be faithful to you. Be faithful to you, make sure everything you need is taken care of. But they didn't took that to a whole nother level in our day and time, right? Because some people would say that, well, they didn't have money. Yes, they did. They had, matter of fact, if you go through, Yahuwah talks, even when he was talking about the tithes, he talked about money as well. They had money. They had like shekels and the temple shekels, all those different forms of monetary value. As a matter of fact, during the feast, for those who had to bring tithes up, when they met at Jerusalem 3 times a year, and they were to bring their tithes and stuff during that time, Yahuwah actually specifically called it out. He said, if your tithes is too much for you to bring to the place where I put my name, which was Jerusalem, right? He said, you can take your tithes and you can exchange it for money. You can exchange your tithes for money. There was a separation. There's tithes and there's money. He said, you can take your tithes and you can exchange it for money, so it'll be easy for you to travel instead of bringing, especially you've been saving up for months to bring this to the house of Yah. If that was too much for you to travel with, take all of it, sell it. He said, get the money in exchange. Make your way on up here to Jerusalem. Take the money, put it in your pocket, in your purse, whatever. Come on up here. But when you get here, he said, then you can take that money and then exchange it again and purchase everything you need. He said, you can purchase anything you want this time. He said, purchase anything you want for you to enjoy the feast when you come to my house, right? So there's when you don't read and you just let other people read it to you out of context, we get the wrong understanding of what it is, right? And now you got these big arguments over tithes and offering. They're really needless conversations if you would just go read it yourself, right? But it doesn't do charlatans any good by you reading, because then you begin to mess with the church's money, right? And you mess with their pockets. So they don't really like to teach it to you like that. That's why we will be held accountable for everything, right? They will be leaders and stuff, but we're going to be held accountable too, because we should have had enough good common sense to go read and check it into it for ourselves. And then you should probably ask questions. You should ask questions. Yeah, put it in there. Don't put anything in my microwave though. Right, but some people they'll ask a question. Some people too scared to ask questions. They just kind of go along with the flow. What the pastor, or whoever their teacher is saying, for fear of ridicule or kickback from them. Nobody care about y'all. Nobody care about y'all. We ain't got an answer to y'all. You better teach this right. Oh, we out of here, buddy. And we taking our money too. We matter of fact, we ain't even coming to your church with tithes. We coming with our money. We leaving and we taking our money. Right? Okay. Anyway. Listen. But you ask, what do you mean? When did we ever cheat you? You have cheated me of the tithes and offerings due to me. You are under a curse, for your whole nation has been cheating me. And that's another thing. If you read it, you will get from under that spooky scariness stuff. Oh my gosh, everything will drop if I don't take it into the house of Yah. And shucks, I think it was maybe early this year or last year, definitely when we was reading Malachi. Last year when we talked about this, I shared about when, because we were faithful giving tithes and offerings, but we could barely get 2 pennies to rub together. Look, Tiffany, funny. We barely had enough to rub 2 pennies together, literally. But we was getting the annual thing. It was like, oh, and it even shocked the pastors. Like, well, shocked. They some of the youngest ones in the church, and they seem like they always struggling. Yet they gave like, and I know it's not a lot, but at that time in the early 2000s, it was a lot for us. They gave us, we almost gave $13,000 in tithes and offering. Like, and we looked when he was talking about it, because the pastor started talking about it from the pulpit. We kind of looked around like, you, because we I guess we was not the youngest couple, because it was a couple other couples there. So when he was talking about it, we didn't know he was talking about us until he just finally kind of called us out at the end of the sermon. He was like, what? We gave what? Let us see that paper. Like, we darn 4 months behind in the rent. How do we give y'all almost $13,000? That's why our rent went. Oh my gosh. We about to be put out on the street. And y'all, look. And so we started thinking about this stuff in the early 2000s. Right. I was like, something ain't right about this. Something is not right about this. They say, oh, well, if it don't meet the need, it must be a seed. Then we go and give this, and we about to be put out, things getting cut off. We in the dark. We're Trina here. Sent the kids to go to Trina house for, I think, about a week till we scrambled up enough money to get our power back on. Boy, them was hard times. Hard times. What religion? This may sound stupid, but what religion is Pamela? I do not claim any kind of religion, Nick. Like, seriously. I just, people ask me, I say, I serve the Most High, Yahuwah, the God of heaven and earth. Because different terms I used to use, people get, oh, so you with this sect? No, not with any sect of people. Like, I talk to Yahuwah alone, and I read my Bible, and I go through it, deciphering truth from error, and I study and I pray. That's what I do. I used to be attached to a couple different sects as I was learning more and more, and there was a bunch of shenanigans in the church. Clearly, we know it's shenanigans everywhere, but as I grow and I'm looking for more, and we begin to ask questions about what we're being taught, we don't get at odds with people. The pastors kind of get a little ticked with us because we ask questions, and their questions like, okay, you saying this means this, but this clearly says this means this. I just help us understand why you teaching it this way. They don't want to do it. It interrupts the flow of what they're trying to teach or what they were taught to teach, and they don't know. Some are just like, well, sister, I can't even answer that. That's a good question. The other one's like, look, you causing trouble. You're a troublemaker. Then you go into the Hebrew roots, and it's kind of the same thing there. And what baffled me was they didn't understand they were still doing the exact same thing that the Christians were doing, but now they're just using Hebrew terms, sounding crazy. I mean, you can teach the Hebrew, I'm not saying that sounded crazy, but when your normal language is, excuse me, English, and you trying to now talk to people in Hebrew and stuff, I get it, but it doesn't help the people who don't understand it, right? So that's why you'll see me greet different. I'll greet you however you greet me. If you say shalom, I say shalom or shalom, good morning, whatever. right? I try and meet people where they're at because I kind of understand it. You can't talk Hebrew to a person that don't understand Hebrew. Even though they're spiritual, you're spiritual, it's crazy. They can't understand you. I'd rather speak to you, although I ain't with Paul and his shenanigans, but I agree with him when he says that he would rather what is it? When he was talking about the tongues of angels or whatever, but he would rather speak words that edify instead of speaking in tongues of angels where nobody understands what you're saying. Yes. Oh, you'll be all right, sis. Close that up. I understand that principle. So yeah, so I'm not any kind of religion. I just worship y'all, right? If y'all see me falling off or something not right, please ask me a question, right? I may have just be speaking too fast and didn't enunciate myself enough or explain it good enough. But yeah, I'm not a part of any religion, just me and y'all, right? Me and y'all, right? Okay. Then all the nations will call you blessed, for your land will be such a delight, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. You have said terrible things about me, says Yahuwah. But you say, what do you mean? What have we said against you? You have said, what's the use of serving Yah? What have we gained by obeying his commands or by trying to show the God of heaven's armies that we are sorry for our sins? From now on, we will call the arrogant blessed. For those who do evil get rich, and those who dare Yahuwah to punish them suffer no harm. Promise of Yahuwah's mercy. Then those who feared Yahuwah spoke with one another, and Yahuwah listened to what they said. In his presence, a scroll of remembrance was written to record the names of those who feared him and always thought about the honor of his name. It's not. Okay, very good. I'm sorry, y'all. Then those who feared Yahuwah spoke with each other, and Yahuwah listened to what they said. In his presence, a scroll of remembrance was written to record the names of those who feared him and always thought about the honor of his name. Not anybody else's name, son's name, nobody's name, but Yahuwah's alone. It's by Yahuwah alone. Nobody else. Yahuwah alone where we will be saved. They will be my people, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. On the day when I act in judgment, they will be my own special treasure. I will spare them as a father spares an obedient child. Then you will again see the difference between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve me and those who do not. Last chapter for the day, which is the last chapter of Malachi, Malachi chapter 4. The coming day of judgment, and it's only 6 verses. Yahuwah, the God of heaven's army, says, the day of judgment is coming, burning like a furnace. On that day, the arrogant and the wicked will be burned up like straw. They will be consumed, roots, branches, and all. But for you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings, and you will go free, leaping with joy like calves led out to pasture. On the day when I act, you will tread upon the wicked as if they were dust under your feet, says Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. Remember to obey the law of Moses, my servant, all the decrees and regulations that I gave him on Mount Sinai for all of Israel. Look, I am sending you the prophet Elijah before the great and dreadful day of Yahuwah arriving. His preaching will turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers. Otherwise, I will come and strike the land with a curse. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. All right, we're at 34 minutes. I thought I had talked to Will a lot of time. Yes, babe. No, I'm not ending it yet. Okay, so let's hop on over here, y'all, to Caesar's Messiah, and we stop on page 203, literally at the top. Sheesh. Let me see if I can do a quick recap. What was we talking about? I'm looking for subtitles. Oh, okay. It was given. Okay, the puzzle of excuse me, the puzzle of the empty tomb, and it gave the different scenarios that the Gospels had from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John about the empty tomb, and was showing how they were going back and forth between two tombs, right? And they didn't realize they were thinking it was Jesus's tomb, but it was really Lazarus's tomb, and he gave all the he pulled the that particular portion from each part, and we read it back to back, and then he went through and started pointing out things. I'm like, oh snap! Matter of fact, that's what the title for that day's video was. Whose tomb was it anyway? Which was the last day we were actually hearing did or read it, before my week hiatus. Okay, so we just picking back up here. Page 203. It is thus possible to create a combined story out of the four different versions of the first to visit Jesus' tomb that has a different meaning than the individual versions and is without contradiction. None of the statements of fact that make up its storyline contradict any other within the combined story. The combined story is logical, whereas the different versions are contradictory. The author's ingenuousness deserves note. Their puzzle is constructed so that the readers who are illogical will believe that the passages indicate that Jesus rose from the dead, while those who are logical will see the passages as a comedy of errors. Furthermore, the authors have deliberately made it possible to compute the probability that the perfect fit between the sequence of events within the Gospel of John and the other three Gospels has occurred by chance. This can be done by use of what I refer to as the chain of multiplication, which the Romans, being avid gamblers, would have known to use in calculating their odds. The chain of multiplication is, in fact, the method used, for example, to ensure that slot machines are profitable for their owners. If a slot machine pays a 1,000 to 1 payoff for displaying 5 cherries in a row, the likelihood of this occurring must be less than 1,000 to 1 for the machine to be profitable. To create the impression that 5 sequential cherries is likely, such machines will often have the desired symbol occur in individual slots relatively often, say once in every 3 pulls. However, one slot will display the symbol rarely, say once in 100 pulls. Now, I'm not a gambler, but I understand this now because we had like this little slot. I'm not a gambler, but my husband used to play like the slot machines a lot, and so when he go through different things, and not really like the slot machines, but it's like a coin machine that they have at gas stations. So he would take like a roll of quarters and he would go, and he would just kind of put it in, and he would calculate it. He would be there for like a couple hours. Oh, you better put taking these $10 bills and going to this darn machine. But we began to notice after about a month, he had patience to do it for like a month, right? His family kind of gambles anyway, so he kind of grew up shooting dice and stuff. So he liked numbers a lot. So, but he began to notice this pattern with this particular machine. Yes. Okay, good, Pooh. We'll put it in the oven in a minute. Keep mixing it up. He began to notice it. So at first I'm like, boy, okay, whatever. But then when I started listening to him, and then he's like, look, see, watch, I won again, boom, boom, boom. And then to be like a span of a week, but he had always have to calculate if other people were coming in behind him playing it, because he maybe like once a week he would go. No, that's a lie. Like 3 times a week, 3 times a week he would go and be there at this machine for a couple hours. And like I said, he began to notice this pattern. And when it got to a certain point, it give him all the quarters out of the machine. And here he come home with all these quarters and stuff. I was like, you hit again? He said, yep. He said, I told you. He said, if I'm here for this amount of time, and he said, it depends. He said, because I can't really tell who's been there when I'm not. He said, so I kind of, for like the first hour, he just kind of goes through and kind of watching stuff. And so he'll, anybody that's ever played quarters and all that stuff, but based on what he was explaining, he picked up a pattern that was going on. So now, although they had other machines in there, it was this one particular one that he always went to because he was used to playing on this one. So even if when he came in, somebody else was on it, he would wait until they got off the machine, but he would watch them on what was happening while they were on the machine, and he would always seem to win. He would have to explain it to you. But this made me think of that. Because there is really anybody that's gambled, if you're good with odds and probability and stuff, you'll be able to figure it out and you'll win a lot. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't do it with the slot machines. I did it with the lottery a few years ago when I was kind of learning about it a little bit, because I was learning about I was actually looking at how people who win the lottery end up worse off than before they actually won the lottery if they win big sums of money. And really what it is, it's how you already handle money. If you're not good with handling a little bit, you're not going to be able to handle a lot. So if you're in a little bit of debt when you won the lottery, although you may be able to pay some of your debt off, if not all of it, you're going to end up, if you don't get the proper financial education, you're going to end up being in way more debt and being broke within a matter of 5 years. If you made it to 5 years, if you won a big jackpot, right? Because you never became financially literate, right? So when I was looking into that, I was like, well, let me go. I was looking at all the different, I'm not telling y'all to go do this. I test stuff, so I decided to test this particular card that it seemed like it was people were having a high probability with winning. It was like $40, not big jackpots, but they were big jackpots to where you could win like $1 million and a couple $1 million and stuff, right? So I went through and I was like, well, I wonder if I purchased, because when you buy them, the particular one, I forget what it is. I want to say it was Cash for Life that I was playing. It was a couple different ones I was using. Then I narrowed it down to one. And I realized, I began to talk to and I get them from the gas station. I talked to the guy. He said, okay, when they come in bundles and boxes of this here, right? And each one is $1. And then I learned about the megaplier and the multiplier and stuff. So if you're going to play, they ask you if you want to add like the megaplier to it. Some people like play the number straight. And some people, they won't take the megaplier. But if you take the megaplier and you hit, it almost literally doubles the money you get. So if you got two of the numbers and you opted to get the megaplier and you got the megaplier right, so say the megaplier number was the number 10, and out of the other 6 numbers that you chose, you only got 2 right. If you hadn't gotten a megaplier, you wouldn't have won anything. But because you got 2 of the numbers right and you got the megaplier, now you won $100, right? So I looked at that. So when I played, I was like, okay, you always double your chance whenever you get the megaplier. So while I was running the test, I always got the megaplier, and I won after doing it. So I was going like dollar here, dollar there, kind of going through and everything. So I decided to, after I went, if you bought, it was like a stack of 200, so $1, and it's $200. There was no taxes on it. So I decided to buy them by the stack at 200, and I just kind of went through, and I realized while I was going through the odds and stuff, it wasn't just with like the stack. There was a bigger number that was at play, depending on how many, because there were a few winning tickets in each box that came, and possibly 4 to 5 winning tickets in every stack of 200. And I realized that by buying the stacks of 200 at a time and going through, scratching the tickets, some of it was a couple different ones. There was scratch offs, but there was some where I forget the name of that one, where I actually chose the numbers and put it in. But anyway, I end up, as I was literally, I had a notebook and I was keeping track of the winnings, the stacks and all that stuff, and what it amounted to. But with the ones that I did, and I probably did it maybe like 4 times, buying a stack of 200, but I will always literally just break even. And throughout all of the tickets, the winning tickets out of each stack, I would literally just win my money back. So I didn't lose anything. But at that point, I was like, yeah, it was becoming a little bit addictive, but not so much, because I realized if I kept going, I would probably get addicted to gambling and I had to figure out the numbers. But once I realized, okay, that when I realized there was a bigger number at play, and then I would have to probably buy them by the box, I wasn't willing. Although I knew even if there wasn't a bigger win in there, I would at least get my money back for the box or for the stack that I bought, you know. So after the first couple of times, I was like, oh, wow, I literally just broke even, and I got all the money back that I spent for purchasing all this stack of tickets, although there were only like 4 or 5 winning tickets in a stack, right? So, but it just, with him explaining this, it made me think about that, the numbers and stuff. So there is a way that they set stuff up to make sure that the vendors are more profitable than those who win, especially if you haven't figured out how to work with the odds and probability and stuff, which is why it's crazy how it happens. But there's this one person who has won like big cash prizes, and it's never been anything less than $2 million. That's literally what he sits and does all day. He works with probability and numbers, and he goes and he plays the big games. And he's won at least 5 times. Like, this dude has so much money. You go Google, I forget his name. You can go Google him. The guy who's won big lotto prizes multiple times, because literally that's what he sits and does all day. And he's figured out some type of algorithm. It blows me how that happened. I didn't get that far, you know, but it was really interesting to me. I was like, you know what? I could work and make money before I probably excuse me. I mean, I could if I sat and did it long enough. But he literally, that's all he did, day in, day out, doing all that. And I got too many kids to sit and do it like that, you know. And at that time when I was doing that, we didn't have the last 2 yet. So, but there's definitely a way to figure this out and how they rig the machines to make sure people aren't winning all the time. That's how casinos, take a spoon and scoop it into the other one. That's how casinos make so much money, because they're really good at this and they know how to do the machines like this. So, but that's enough of that. Okay, listen. Okay. Furthermore, wait a minute, Zay. Furthermore, the authors have deliberately made it possible to. I know I just said, hold on. No, do not go in the front. Y'all can go in the back.
The back's boring.
Well, I'm sorry. There's too much stuff going on in the front.
And the front, it's just like that.
Yeah. Hey, chill. Furthermore, the authors have deliberately made it possible to compute the probability that the perfect fit between the sequence of events within the Gospel of John and the other 3 Gospels has occurred by chance. This can be done by use of what I refer to as the chain of multiplication, which the Romans, being avid gamblers, would have known to use in calculating their odds. The chain of multiplication is, in fact, the method used, for example, to ensure that the slot machines are profitable for their owners. If a slot machine pays 1,000 to 1 payoff for displaying 5 cherries in a row, the likelihood of this occurring must be less than 1,000 to 1 for the machine to be profitable. To create the impression that 5 sequential cherries is likely, such machines will often have the desired symbol occur in individual slots relatively often, say once in every 3 pulls. However, one slot will display the symbol rarely, say once in 100 pulls. Thus, the chain of multiplication to determine such a machine's chances of displaying 5 cherries would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 100, which would give the gambler 1 chance in 9,100 of hitting the 1,000 to 1 jackpot. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 slots. So that 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 100 is every 3 times you pull these first 1, 2, 3, 4 slots will give you a cherry. Then this last slot is every 100 times it'll give you a cherry, right? Okay, so thus the chain of multiplication to determine such a machine's chances of displaying 5 cherries would be 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 100, which would give the gambler 1 chance in 9,100 of hitting the 1,000 to 1 jackpot. If 4 distinct authors have each created different versions of the first to visit the tomb, then each author has accidentally recorded different facts. For example, in the Gospel of John, the author records that the first visit occurs in the dark, whereas in Luke, the other author records that the sun has risen before Mary Magdalene comes to the tomb. However, for the combined story to have its perfect logical and temporal sequence, the author of the Gospel of John can only select the position of the sun that indicates that his version begins earliest, which he has only one chance in four of doing. Likewise, each of the authors of the other three Gospels has only one chance in four occurring at the next point within the sequence. Thus, the odds of four distinct authors accidentally describing their versions, beginning with John's, then Matthew's, followed by Mark's, and finally Luke's, are 4 by 4 by 4 by 4, or one chance in 256. Notice that this sequence is not accounted for by the four authors, all reflecting a shared tradition, since the sequence is created by the differences among the four versions, not their similarities. A shared tradition would, if anything, make it less likely that the four authors would each give a different time for the first visit. A shared tradition is likewise implausible as an explanation for the logical relationship between any of the elements within the sequence, since the logical fit is created by the different facts that the four Gospels use to describe the first visit. Combining their contradictory statements of fact creates the perfect logical fit between the events in the Gospel of John and the other three Gospels. Therefore, their relationship cannot be explained away by suggesting that the four different authors might have shared a common source. Bear in mind that if even one fact in the four versions were different from what it is, this would destroy the logical sequence between the Gospel of John and the other three Gospels. Who would ever think that you would have to go through here and do math to understand that the Gospels are a spoof, right? Only those that spend enough time reading and understand some other stuff that's not included in the Bible, only somebody that does that would be able to catch it, which is why, see, I don't know. I think with the it's definitely because of the information age, right? And everything that is more readily available to a lot of people now, we're able to really check into some stuff. No, let's just try. We're really able to check into some stuff now, and people just can't tell us stuff like, take that, go and believe that and go and live your life around that lie. They can't do that to us anymore, right? Because we're going and we checking behind them. I don't care that it's been preached in mama's generation and grandmama's generation, and great grandmama called on the name of Jesus. We testing Jesus. We checking out everybody. I don't care if he changed his name to a Hebrew term. We checking out everybody, right? So with the information age brings a lot of things to light, but it also brings up a lot of contradictory feelings and arguments and things, and it's waking people up. And some people don't like the light, right? Because it shows them that it makes them feel that their entire life has been a lie. And so now they begin to question a lot of things. Well, what about this? And I know this happened, and we use this name doing that, and it worked then. But you know what? It doesn't work now for some people. When you're in ignorance, I explained it before, when you have a child, when you have a younger child, an older child, you tend to give the younger child, a toddler, way more grace than you would ever give your teenager, because now your child has grown up and you understand right from wrong. And you know that it's not that. And you know there isn't a Santa Claus. You all did. Matter of fact, we never taught you that. All the other people teaching that, you know that it's never been a Santa Claus. It's always been dad and mom that's been doing this, right? To whereas you have younger children who are still just literally trying to get a grip on this life that they've been born into. What is that? That's a box, but the older child has grown and developed enough to understand some truths, to whereas the younger child is still, what is this? And they're testing and they're touching stuff. So that's what like Christians are like. They're still like babies, really. And you can really just give them anything and they just take it. Most of them is that way. And so when you take something from them, like, no, that is not good for you, they scream, they cry, they throw and they holler, and they just pitch a fit because they're not able yet to separate truth from error, right? They're not able to, let me see if I can use this as an example. They're not really, okay, so you know how, and they use this a lot, don't touch the stove is hot, right? They're not able to separate that, even though the young child may go touch it, boom, burn their hand. Now they think the entire stove is a monster, when that's far from the case. The stove has never been a monster, but we told you not to touch it because we understand how the stove works. We understand that the stove is neither good nor evil, right? The stove is neither good nor evil. You can call it alive, you can call it dead. If you turn the power on or cut it off, however you want to look at it. But the thing is, the child doesn't understand that, and they're not able to decipher between good and evil yet. So now, if they are hurt by it, it's automatically evil altogether, and they'll stay away from it. Same thing with vacuum cleaners, the loud noise. They don't understand that this is a cleaning mechanism. It's just something that's loud and scary and have lights, and it chases them through the house. If you're a bad parent, you chase your child through the house with a vacuum cleaner. Don't do that, right? But they're not able to decipher what's good and what's evil yet, but you are. So a lot of times when people begin to wake up, and it's like those principles there, and so they get, yes.
You just said I great cooker.
You are a great cooker. But Christianity is like a bad parent chasing their child through the house with a vacuum cleaner, scaring them, like just for the pure heck of it, right? And so when you begin to wake them up, now it's like, oh my gosh, everything is bad. And even the things that I experienced are good, you're telling me we're bad. No, what I'm telling you is,
I'm a great cooker, and I said no.
You are a great cooker. Ignore them. Okay, close it up. And so when you try to tell them that, yes, even though you have experienced things when you said the name of Jesus and it happened for you, it was still Yahuwah all along. So even though you said Jesus, Yahuwah understood your ignorance, and he knew you were really crying out to him. You just didn't know his name. You weren't able. Nobody taught you to decipher truth from error. So what you call, that's just like a little child. They see you. They don't have their pronunciation right, or they may hear somebody call an adult something, but they get it wrong. That's not really their name. That person or that adult will know, oh, you're talking to me. You're calling me Bob, but my name is Pam, right? Woman, Bob is a boy's name, but the child thought they heard Bob. So then they're like, Bob. Or just like when smaller children, they hear a child calling their parent mom. And so that's what they do. Instead of be like Miss Murphy, because their child, they heard that child call you mom. Mom must be your name. Mom. It's that type of thing. And people don't seem to understand that. They take everything as an attack against them. So you're telling me Jesus is not real? So I know all the stuff that I experienced, and my life is good, and he's always showed up when I call. Okay, yes. What you've experienced is real, but it wasn't Jesus, right? Like it wasn't. And when you hear this, it sounds like blasphemy. It wasn't Yeshua. It was Yahuwah all the time, because there is only him, right? So that's where people really get tripped up in a lot of stuff, and they can't seem to decipher it. Because they for one, when it's new, it's like everything is foreign and everything. Nope, it's heresy. Stay away from it, right? And that's what Christianity teaches you to do. So that's why it's hard a lot of times to even talk to Christians, even those you love. When you try to kind of explain it to them, it does not compute, because they've been inundated with Christianity so long, and they think that this is the truth, until they actually begin to pull themselves away from the constant teaching and indoctrination of what the church gives you week in and week out, going on Sundays and Wednesdays and Fridays and sometimes Tuesday, depending on where you at. If you're constantly being fed all of that stuff, it's hard for you to break away from the lies. It's hard for you to see the entire forest for all the trees that are right there in front of your face, right? So when you break away from it and you actually begin to read it, you begin noticing and it begins to happen. Anybody that's begin to wake up and you actually begin to read it, that's how it begins to happen. Your state of sleep or that slumber begins to break the more you read through Torah yourself. And although I'm reading it to you, I'm telling y'all, read on your own. Break out your Bibles while we're reading it together. Pull out your favorite Bible so you can see that I ain't reading from some type of magic book or something where I'm trying to lead you astray. This is what this says. And if you keep it in context, this is what it was saying. Where somebody else in Christianity, they'll read you the same passage and they give you a whole different interpretation because they've taken it out of its context and didn't give you the backstory and read everything else, right? So that's how your state of delusion and illusion begins to break when you personally go read, and you'll begin to notice the contradictions, and then you'll start having questions and wait a minute, and then you realize the I ain't gonna say the whole thing is a farce, but although the entire Bible, and I know this is gonna sound like heresy and blasphemy to some people, the entire Bible is not true, but there is truth found in the Bible. It's been tainted and toyed with so much, but you can still find truth within it if you read it enough. And once you begin to read it and you begin to notice the contradictions, you're well on your way to being able to separate the truth from error at that point, right? So, but I like how he was explaining this. It really takes a genius to be, and that's what I'll give them that. I say the Piso family, Rome, they were geniuses with the pen and paper, right? That's their gift. They can write up literature so good and make it seem so true if you are kept in the dark about certain things, which has happened, which is why this has gone on not 2,000 years, but literally over 4,000 years, right? Literally over 4,000 years. If you read it and you look at everything, you realize it's not been 2,000. It's been extremely longer than that. And then we wonder, okay, why are we still waiting for Jesus to come back? First of all, he was invented. He ain't never coming. Second of all, the excuse me, the lie of Christianity keeps you asleep and keep you immobilized while the wicked continue to rule. When you wake up and realize, wait a minute, Yahuwah gave this place to us. This belongs to us. The righteous inherit the earth and the wicked are going to be rooted out. That's when Rome gets in trouble, and that's why they're doing everything they can do now to keep everybody asleep. They had everybody at odds with the name of Jesus before, but now you say Jesus not real. It's like the whole world and become Christians. Oh, have you become a Christian too? We said Jesus. First of all, you got us fighting against one another. Now I'm saying Jesus not real. Now you won't even let us use the hashtags. Anybody start talking about Jesus, tell you Jesus not real, they're trying to cut you off with the quickness, right? So it's like, what's really going on here? All these years, y'all got the different religions and sects of people pitted against one another. Oh, Jesus is real. Jesus is not real. But now more people realizing that Jesus is actually not real. And he was created by the Flavian Empire of Rome to keep control over the world and all their resources. Now, oh no, Jesus is real. Now they trying. I'm like, this is crazy, people. So it's like now we're in that time in the information age. It's like their last ditch effort to keep the reins over everything, even with the misinformation that's being put out about a lot of different stuff, even with the vid and how they're using it. Because if you sit and watch TV all day and you watch social media and what they're putting out, it would lead you to believe that the world is going a certain way. But if you pull away from it and you travel to different places or look at people who aren't really inundated with the stuff in America, you would see that life is completely different than what is being shown to us through the media and what they allow to be perpetrated through social media. Yes. I gotta cut it on in a minute, Pooh. Hold on. And I need to clean it up before we stick that in the oven. So when you begin to look at that, it causes you just to kind of sit back and think, right? You begin to really get a grip on life, and you can actually just stop living life afraid and stop walking around here afraid to do stuff because, oh my gosh, Jesus could come back at any time. And I want to make sure I go to heaven and not hell. Life is really, I know this is going to sound like blasphemy to people. Life is really so much more than that because we were sent to this place for a purpose, right? For a purpose. And what the churches teach you that purpose is is not it, right? It is not it. But people can't understand it until they realize the lies that they have been inundated with. Once you clear out all that old bad stuff, you can put in what's true and things that are verifiable, and you can look around and you can see and you can test, right? Yahuwah said, test me, right? If he say test me, we should go be testing everything, right? Okay, let me finish this little paragraph and I'm gonna end it. Okay. Hold on, boo. Let me read this one over. Okay. Notice that, wait a minute, Bella.
I get a lot.
When it's done. Notice that this sequence is not accounted for by the four authors, all reflecting a shared tradition, since the sequence is created by the differences among the four versions, not their similarities. A shared tradition would, if anything, make it less likely that the four authors would each give a different time for the first visit. A shared tradition is likewise implausible as an explanation for the logical relationship between any of the elements within the sequence, since the logical fit is created by the different facts that the four Gospels use to describe the first visit. Combining their contradictory statements of fact creates the perfect logical fit between the events of the Gospels of John and the other three Gospels. Therefore, their relationship cannot be explained away by suggesting that the four different authors might have shared a common source. Bear in mind that if even one fact in the four versions were different from what it is, this would destroy the logical sequence between the Gospel of John and the other three Gospels. For example, if the author of Matthew, the Gospel, excuse me, the Gospel whose position of the sun in the sky, that's the brightness. The sun indicates that its visitors come directly after John's had recorded that the first visitors encountered not one but two angels, then the combined story would become contradictory. This is because this description would then not match the one in John's, which states that one disciple arrived first. Therefore, the probability that the author of Matthew accidentally records that the first visitors encounter only one angel and not as found within the other two gospels, 0 or 2, is one chance in 3. And that probability becomes an element in a chain of multiplication for the entire sequence of events. The following are the statements of fact that four distinct authors would have to accidentally record to produce the perfect sequence of events between the Gospel of John and the other three Gospels. I have included the lowest odds of each event being recorded by a particular author. For example, events 4 and 5 below, where the author of John mentions that the disciple looked into the empty tomb but did not go into it. It can be argued that the odds of this irrelevant detail even being mentioned at this point are far higher than one chance in 2. Nevertheless, I only give the binary possibility, that is, the author could either record that the disciple did or did not look in. And we'll pause. Or maybe I should read these. Let me just read these because it's short. It's 21 of them, but it's real short. Okay, so here are the possibilities. This becomes quite fun now if you read the Gospels along with this and you pulling this apart, especially if you kind of like a math person, like I was saying before, and if you're into probabilities and stuff like that, and kind of look at it and it's like, oh snap, this is crazy. You see this? Like, how could we never see this before? And then the more you read and understand how much they're literally made a spoof and are pretty much laughing at you, you begin to feel more silly as you begin to uncover more. And it's like, it can't be hidden. It's like, how could we have ever missed this? Did we ever read the Bible at once in our life? Did we always just sit and listen and have somebody read to us? Not that I'm doing what they did, but I'm trying to open your eyes. Let's read this together. Ask questions. Let's look at this. Let us reason together. Go through here and look at this, right? Because we all been made fools of. Listen, okay, so number 1. Hold on. Let me read the last sentence. Nevertheless, I give only the binary possibility, that is, the author could either record, excuse me, that the disciple did or did not look in. Number 1, the Son must indicate that Mary comes first to the tomb in the version given in the Gospel of John, 1 chance and 4. Excuse me. Hold on. Okay. Number 2, Mary must encounter no angels during her first visit to the tomb in the Gospel of John, 1 chance and 3. Number 3, the other disciple must reach the tomb first, not Peter, 1 chance and 2. Number 4, the other disciple must not go in, 1 chance and 2. Number 5, the disciple must look in, 1 chance and 2. Number 6, Simon Peter, not Peter or the other disciple, must be the one who arrives second at the tomb, 1 chance and 3. Number 7, he must go in alone, 1 chance and 2. Number 8, the other disciple must go into the tomb after Simon Peter, 1 chance and 2. Number 9, the Son must indicate that Mary comes into the tomb second in the version given in the Gospel of Matthew, 1 chance and 4. Number 10, the group described in Matthew must encounter one angel, 1 chance and 3. Number 11, the angel in Matthew must be outside the tomb, 1 chance and 2. Number 12, the Son must indicate that Mary comes into the tomb next in the version given in the Gospel of Mark, 1 chance and 4. Number 13, the group from Matthew must encounter one angel, 1 chance and 3. Number 14, the group from Matthew must encounter the angel inside the tomb, 1 chance and 2. Number 15, the Son must indicate that Mary comes to the tomb last in the version given in the Gospel of Luke, 1 chance and 4. Number 16, the group described in Luke must discover the angels inside the tomb, 1 chance and 2. Number 17, this group must encounter two angels, 1 chance and 3. Remember, they read, excuse me, they're comparing the 4 different gospel versions with them actually going to the tomb when they're trying to see if Jesus rose or not, right? So remember, there's a description of this in all 4 of the gospels, and we read each of those the last day we were here, actually doing the reading, each of those back to back. So this is what it's saying. In order for this to line up perfectly, this is what has to happen with the probability and who has to arrive in order for all 4 of the stories to mesh together perfectly. This what has to happen and all the different scenarios that was happening in the different 4 gospels that was describing the same event, right? Almost like the movie Vantage Point, if you've seen that. And it's 4 different go watch it. I ain't gonna explain. Let me finish reading this. But it's kind of like the same thing what happened in the Gospels. The Son must number 15. The Son must indicate that Mary comes to the tomb last in the version in the Gospel of Luke, 1 chance and 4. Number 16, the group described in Luke must discover the angels inside the tomb, 1 chance and 2. Number 17, this group must encounter 2 angels, 1 chance and 3. Number 18, the angel must request that Peter, not Simon Peter, be told, 1 chance and 2. Number 19, the Mary who stands outside weeping in John must encounter 2 angels because the plural is used in Luke to describe those who go to the tomb, 1 chance and 2. Number 20, the angels Mary sees must be inside the tomb because those who go to the tomb in Luke are described as not seeing Jesus, 1 chance and 2. Number 21, Mary must encounter Jesus outside the tomb, 1 chance and 2. Thus, the chain of multiplication to determine the probability that 4 distinct authors could record these exact facts by chance would be 4 by 3 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 3 by 2 by 2 by 4 by 3 by 2 by 4 by 3 by 2 by 4 by 2 by 3 by 2, which equals 1 chance in 254,803,968. This demonstrates that 4 distinct authors did not create the combined story by chance, and that it was therefore intentionally created. This proof is just as conclusive as, for example, the DNA probabilities that are used in our day and age to match the blood left at a crime scene with that of a suspect. In fact, DNA probabilities are determined using an approach similar to the one above. My theory is also solid in the sense that it is so easily disprovable. In other words, specialists in probability can easily demonstrate any errors in my premise or conclusion. In fact, any curious reader can simply retrace my steps and come to an independent judgment. If the combined version of the four stories has not been obvious to scholars before, it is because the contradictions within the four passages are designed to hide the combined version. These contradictions must be resolved before anyone can easily see the satiric version that the four passages create. The authors were, in effect, demanding that the reader be logical before being permitted to see the truth. Whew. Look, okay, let me see. We'll pause right there.
Mom.
We'll pause right there. Now that was good. It may sound like a bunch of blah blah to you if you're not really into probability and statistics, or at least understand it a little bit to where that makes sense. But just go back and read it again. If you got the book, go back and read it. If you got the audible version, go back and listen to it a couple times until it clicks of what is actually being said. Or go watch a movie where it talks about statistics so you can get an understanding from a different perspective, but it's still giving you the same principle. Then come back and read it again, because sometimes you need to have different people explain a principle to you before it actually clicks with you, right? So if you go back and you do that, just do a little bit of homework, just make sure you're understanding exactly what's being said and you really understand like probability and the theory of multiplication and stuff and what was happening here. Then you will see, and then when you go back and open up the gospel, you're gonna be like, God darn it, how come we couldn't see this before? If it was a snake, it would have bit us, right? We'd all be dead of snake bites and poison and venom.
Mom.
Matter of fact, we
Mom.
have been. It's called the
Mom.
strong delusion.
Me and Josh was born.
Yes, that is a true statement. You and Josh were born. Okay, y'all, so let me pause this right here. I like this last one though. The authors were in effect, the authors of the Gospels were in effect demanding that the reader be logical before being permitted to see the truth. Whew, that statement in itself can teach, or like my mama say, now that'll preach, right? Because we clearly know Christianity and a lot of other religions, they teach you to be illogical. That's how they can keep the upper hand over on you, right? So you're not going to find a lot of well, I can't say that. If people are able to bamboozle you and to fool the mind, they can keep control over you. So like I said, you break that state of delusion or the strong delusion with truth. Torah will break the strong delusion off of anybody, right? Okay, so we'll pause right here on page 206. I'm gonna go back here and read this again. Yo, we only read 2 pages. I guess so. It seemed like I was reading. Oh, because I was starting running my mouth talking about different stories and probability and stuff. I know we had to read more than that. Okay, so we pause right there, y'all. It is Thursday, the last day of September the 30th, 2021, day 266 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 3-year consecutive day count, day 935. Y'all, we finished the book of Malachi, which is actually the last chapter in the New Testament, but we skipped over Job and Proverbs and Psalms, so we're actually going to backtrack, and tomorrow we're going to start reading the book of Job, then we'll go through Psalms, and then we'll go through Proverbs while we're finishing up reading Caesar's Messiah. And we read chapter 7 in Caesar's Messiah, and we started at page 203, and we paused on 206. Excuse me. So we'll pick it up there tomorrow. So let's go here and do the blessing. I'm actually glad this stayed on to record this second little half. All right, y'all. So the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. Man or woman can take it, right? Okay. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, said, Speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate us with the wholeness of his being. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, Robert Betwapu, I saw you come in a little while ago. Let me check over the comments real quick. Make sure somebody didn't ask me a question. Okay, nothing on Facebook. Okay, let me scroll up. There's a lot of stuff over here on YouTube. Hold on. Oh, it's the afternoon in the UK. Good afternoon from the UK. That was from Jerry. Thank you. Tobiah was the richest Levi at the time of the priesthood. Okay, I remember seeing that comment come in when we was talking about the priesthood and tithes and offerings. Some of these pastors are nothing but Detroit pimps. Laugh out loud, Aliyah. Okay, I answered that question. Similar, okay. Nick asking about the religion when I was talking about my religion. Yeah, I like that. Aliyah say religion is a mindset, tricks to scare folks. The Most High gives us laws and statutes so we can be free, man and woman. I agree with that.
And they drink after dad. Zion say this, and then die.
Tell Zion to come here. You're not gonna die. It's just good practice not to drink after anybody, though. Boy, my kids sometimes she's talking about something. If she drink after dad, she gonna die. Like kids, sometimes they. I'll talk to that boy. Oh yeah, I just saw your comment about the slot machines. Make people used to hang around the slot machines and work out the timing. Yeah, that's exactly what my husband was doing. He worked out the timing for that machine.
Mom, him here. Mom, him here.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Mom, Sai here. Mom.
Yeah, you're right, Mick. Yes, okay.
Sai here.
Sorry, that's just Isaiah. Hey, who is that? Boy, don't you say that crap no more. Why would you tell her if she drunk after dad she was gonna die?
She's gonna get sick.
She's not gonna get sick, although it is a good rule not to drink after anybody. You don't want to pass germs. I don't care who they are. But you don't say nothing like that because even if she did, even by mistake, she wouldn't die. Dad doesn't have some type of flesh-eating disease or something like that that would cause that to be true. And if that was the case, we will all know that and nobody would even go near dad. So that's not true. Don't say stuff like that. That's stuff you say to scare her. But you don't have to do that to convey a truth to her. You don't have to scare her. You can just tell her the truth. All right?
Don't scare me, Mom. Just say. Mom.
Okay, y'all.
Mom.
Ain't that what they do to in church, though?
Mom.
If you don't accept Jesus, you're going to die and go to hell. Now everybody's scared
me.
not to accept Jesus.
Mom.
Everybody's scared to even look
Mom.
into Jesus.
Zay scared me.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. I'll deal with him too. All right, y'all. That's enough. All right, so somebody end this. I love y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us today. You know, there had to be some kind of shenanigan that popped off up in here today with these kids. Okay, girl, give me this juice. All right.
Okay.
All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Go ahead.
Well, me and you say peace.
Yeah, we said peace. Bye, y'all.
It's too hard.
Girl, what is you doing?
Correct. No,